Hi, today we are going to clear some of the common misconceptions and criticism that Islam faces from non-Muslims and ex-Muslims. I haven't set up my ChatGPT in a certain way and she will remain completely unbiased. And I'm going to share the instructions in front of you. Hi ChatGPT, can you please confirm to my viewers that you are going to remain unbiased and you are going to provide your answers including Islamic and un-Islamic historical sources?
Hi everyone, I can confirm that I'll remain completely unbiased in my responses. I will provide answers that include both Islamic and non-Islamic historical sources to ensure a well-rounded and balanced perspective. My goal is to give you accurate and respectful information from multiple viewpoints so that you can understand the full context.
My first question is, how was Islam spread historically, and was it really spread by the sword as a lot of people believe?
The idea that Islam was spread purely by the sword is an oversimplified narrative. Historically, Islam spread through a combination of peaceful means like trade, cultural exchange, and missionary efforts, as well as through political expansion and military campaigns, especially during the early caliphates. In some cases, military conquests did play a role in expanding Islamic rule, but it's important to remember that this wasn't unique to Islam. Many empires throughout history expanded through conquest. However, converting to Islam was not always forced upon conquered peoples. In fact, many regions, especially in parts of Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Indian subcontinent, saw Islam spread primarily through trade and the work of merchants and Sufi missionaries who peacefully introduced the faith. Islamic rule often allowed people to continue practicing their own religions, with non-Muslims paying a tax, jizya, in exchange for protection and exemption from military service, rather than being forced to convert. So, while military expansion was one part of the spread of Islam, the religion's growth was far more nuanced, including peaceful interactions and the appeal of its social and spiritual teachings. Historically, both Islamic and non-Islamic sources support this more complex picture of how Islam spread.
What is Islamic perspective on women's rights, and how does it compare to modern feminist views?
From an Islamic perspective, women's rights are rooted in justice, dignity, and equality before God. The Quran granted women various rights more than 1,400 years ago, which were considered revolutionary at the time. These included the right to own property, inherit, work, education, and participate in social and political life. Islam emphasizes that men and women are spiritually equal, and their roles are complementary rather than identical. In marriage, for instance, a woman has the right to keep her own wealth, receive a dowry mahr, and has the right to seek divorce. The Quran also explicitly commands men to treat women with respect and kindness. It's important to note that many of these rights were given to women in Islamic law long before they were recognized in many other parts of the world. However, the application of these rights has varied across cultures and periods of history, and in many places today, cultural practices rather than Islamic teachings have limited women's rights. In some regions, patriarchal interpretations of Islamic texts have restricted women's roles, which is not reflective of Islam's foundational teachings. Comparison with modern feminism. Modern feminist movements advocate for complete gender equality in all aspects of life, social, political, and economic, and challenge societal structures that perpetuate gender-based discrimination. In many ways, Islamic principles align with modern feminist views, such as the right to education, financial independence, and the ability to participate in decision-making processes. Where Islamic and feminist views sometimes diverge is in the roles assigned to men and women. While Islam emphasizes equality in worth and dignity, it also acknowledges gender differences and assigns specific roles to men and women, particularly in family life. For example, men are traditionally seen as providers, while women are encouraged to care for the household, though this is flexible and not mandatory. In modern feminist movements, the focus is often on dismantling traditional gender roles altogether, promoting the idea that all roles should be accessible to all, regardless of gender. Some modern feminists may see Islamic guidelines as too restrictive in certain areas, while others appreciate the protection and recognition of women's rights that Islam offers, especially in contexts where women's rights have historically been limited. Ultimately, both perspectives are concerned with justice and dignity for women, but they approach gender roles and equality in slightly different ways.
I think it was a great comprehensive answer, and I do agree with her. Some people think I'm a feminist, but I am not a pure modern feminist. I have very traditional way of thinking, and I do think, because the reason is that I think men and women are equally different. They have their own strengths and they have their own weaknesses. For instance, women can multitask. Women are emotionally more in tuned. Women are very hard working. However, men, they are physically strong, and they are also more logical. Women are not that logical. Men also perform really well during stress. Men handle stress way better than women, and this is proven by science, but a lot of time it's not talked about because in modern feminist era we just don't want to talk about any good qualities that men have. I do think men and women both possess some positive qualities and we both complement each other. How does Islam views other religion and promote peaceful existence?
Islam promotes peaceful coexistence and mutual respect between different religious communities. The Quran explicitly acknowledges the existence of multiple faiths and emphasizes that diversity is part of God's plan. Islam teaches that while Muslims believe in the truth of their faith, they should still respect others' right to follow their own religions. Key concepts. 1. Recognition of other faiths. Islam recognizes Judaism and Christianity as people of the book, Ahl al-Kitab, meaning they share common roots through earlier prophets. The Quran acknowledges their scriptures and respects their belief in one God. The Prophet Muhammad himself maintained peaceful relations with Jewish and Christian communities, especially during the early period of Islam in Medina. 2. Freedom of religion. One of the clearest Quranic verses regarding religious freedom is, "There is no compulsion in religion." Quran 2:256. This means that faith must be a personal choice, not forced upon anyone. Historically, Islamic empires often allowed religious minorities to practice their faith under Islamic rule, as long as they paid a tax, jizya, and followed the law of the land. 3. Interfaith peace and justice. Islam encourages fair and kind treatment of people from other religions. The Quran states, "God does not forbid you from being just and kind to those who have not fought you because of your religion or driven you out of your homes." Quran 68. This is a clear endorsement of peaceful coexistence with people of different faiths. 4. Prophet Muhammad's example. The Prophet Muhammad is known for his emphasis on peaceful coexistence. One of the most notable examples is the Constitution of Medina, a historic agreement that established a pluralistic society where Muslims, Jews, and other religious groups were protected under one community, living peacefully together with mutual respect. Encouraging peaceful coexistence. Islam advocates for dialogue and understanding among different religions. The Quran encourages Muslims to engage with others in a respectful manner, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and argue with them in a way that is best. Quran 16:125. The emphasis is on diplomacy, kindness, and justice. Historically, many regions under Islamic rule, like Andalusia, modern-day Spain, were centers of intellectual exchange where Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted and contributed to cultural and scientific advancements. Modern-day relevance. In today's world, the principles of mutual respect, justice, and peaceful dialogue are more important than ever. Islam's teachings on interfaith relationships provide a framework for living harmoniously in a diverse society. Peaceful coexistence is not just an ideal, but a responsibility in Islam, grounded in respect for human dignity and justice for all. So, while differences in faith exist, Islam encourages building bridges through understanding, dialogue, and kindness, ensuring that people of all religions can live peacefully alongside one another.
Wow, my mind is blown because I did not ask her these questions before. So these answers are very new to me, and I think she's giving really good answers. I'm very impressed, and I feel it's very balanced.